Hi, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me again, intrepid travelers. So, today I'm going to speak about Athens, Greece, and a day trip to nearby Sunio. Sunio is a port about an hour to an hour and a half drive from Athens, where some of the cruise ships dock, leave, etc., etc. So, we flew into Athens via Delta from Atlanta, Georgia, and long flight. Arrived at the airport about 1:30 and then drove over to the Grand Britannia Hotel. We had booked a cruise with Celestial Cruises, and for those of you who've tuned into my Journeys with Jack title channel beforehand, you might remember me speaking about Rhodes and Patmos. Well, Celestial Cruises had arranged for a driver to pick us up, and he took us over to the hotel. Got to give a good shout out to Celestial Cruises. They really made things work rather well. So at the Grand Britannia, we arrived about 3 o'clock. It's a solid hour to an hour and a half with traffic from the airport in Athens to where the hotel is located at Syntagma Square. But this is a great hotel, very centrally located. Catty-cornered across the street is the Houses of Parliament, and that is where you can see the changing of the guard on an hourly rate, and that's a fascinating spectacle. The guards have an interesting uniform. They have these pom-poms, if you will, on the shoes, and they march with lifting the legs and great height and precision, do some drills with the rifle, and they have this pleated kilt type thing where each pleat is representative of one of the years where they were occupied by the Ottoman Empire, i.e. the Turks, which accounts for some of the lingering animosity between Greece and Turkey. Now, also, the Grand Britannia Hotel is located near Irmu Street, which is one of the great shopping streets, I should say, in the Plaka district. So, on one day when my son and I went sightseeing, my daughters and wife surprisingly went shopping there. Lots of designer clothes, bags, etc. Now, we arrived at the Grand Britannia at 3 o'clock, and this is a good lesson for you travelers. One of our rooms was not ready. So rather than become irate and be the ugly American and rage against the managerial staff, etc., at the hotel, I very simply stated that it was not ready, and I thought that they should do something to make the situation right. That resulted in me receiving 3 days of breakfast complimentary for the family from the rooftop restaurant, which had a brilliant overlook of the Acropolis with a great view of the Parthenon. Maybe I shouldn't have said overlook, as it was really not above it, but off to the distance. Now, we eventually got checked in, and then straight away, after a quick brush of the teeth and drop of the luggage, we went to the nearby metro stop at Syntagma Square and rode the red line out to the stop of Acropoli. Now, the advantage of utilizing the metro is that you dodge the traffic, which is substantial in Athens. And Athens is hot. You really don't want to walk all the way from the hotel to the Acropolis. A little bit cooler riding underground on the metro. You take the red line to the Acropolis station. Now, at the time that we went in summer of 2022, the euro and the US dollar were on par, so, or very nearly so, I should say. It cost us 1.20 euro for each person for a round trip ticket, and that worked out for a family of 5 to about $6. Quite a bargain, I would say. A lot cheaper and a lot quicker than trying to take a taxi or a bus. So at the Acropolis, you have quite a long hike up to the top. Now, it's hot in the summer in Athens. You need to bring some water and be prepared, but it's well worth it. At the top, you are going to see the Parthenon, which defies description, at least the powers of my description. So I'm going to direct you to look at the photographs I will post on Instagram and Facebook. Also at the top is the Temple of Athena. Not quite the same as the famous song by The Who, Athena, hit for them, but this would be the ancient pagan goddess Athena at the top of the hill. So, coming back from the Acropolis, and really that is the number one tourist site to see in Athens. And I need to emphasize that Athens is not so much a city where you go see a whole lot of tourist sites, but you want to soak up the ambiance. The food is fabulous. Obviously, we know about souvlaki, dolmadas, etc. The vibe in the city is super cool as well. But coming back, we had reservations to eat at the Athens Club. I want to show off a souvenir that they were kind enough to give me to take back to the States. This is an Athens Club napkin. I hope I can lift this up to the camera and you can see the embroidered AC. Now, one of the waiters, Philip, told me that the Athens Club dated back to 1873 and was one of the older dinner clubs on continental Europe. Now, if you've watched some of my previous Journeys with Jack episodes, you've heard me speak about the advantage of getting your local club to contact a European club or South American, etc., so that you can get locals' prices, so that you're going to eat at a great bargain. Well, we ate one night for dinner at the Athens Club with a great view from the rooftop dining facility over towards the Parthenon, so you could look out over the Athens cityscape and see the lit up Parthenon at night. The next night we ate at the Hotel Britannia from their rooftop restaurant. The difference was fourfold, i.e. it was 4 times expensive to eat at the Hotel Britannia, so quite a bargain to go to the Athens Club. So the next day, as my wife and daughters did some shopping, my son and I went to the 1896 Olympic Stadium, which was where, when there was a revitalization of the Olympics and they came into the modern era, that was where the first modern Olympics were held. We also went to the old ruins of the Temple of Zeus, and later went to the Metropolitan Cathedral and went to a 10th century Byzantine church. All of this well within walking distance, easily done. My daughter and I had the pleasure of going to see a special remembrance held at the Houses of Parliament across the street, where we had witnessed the previous mentioned changing of the guard ceremony. And this special remembrance was for those veterans from the 1970s conflict on the island of Cyprus. So it was most interesting, with each branch of the armed services having a portion in the program. We were fortunate to be able to see it. Just good luck, right place, right time. Now, Athens, great place as a jumping off spot for day trips. So our Athens day trip that I want to describe, I actually did in reverse. I had prevailed on the people at the cruise ship to let us hire a driver and spend part of a day in Sunio. Sunio is about an hour and a half south of Athens, given traffic, and about 45 minutes from the airport. So I'd recognized that we were going to dock with a cruise ship about 7:30 or 8 a.m. and did not fly out to Istanbul till late in the day. So I'd asked if we could hire a driver and go to Sunio, which is the location of the Temple of Poseidon. That was made famous in some of the writings of George Gordon, Lord Byron, who visited it in the 1820s. The Temple of Poseidon sits up on a high hill and overlooks the beautiful Aegean Sea, and this same Aegean Sea is where we went swimming. We had gone down there and found a taverna, and I spoke with the proprietress, who was quite willing for us to set up camp at a couple of tables if we would buy our meal from her and a couple of other cool, refreshing beverages. And we swam in the crystal clear Aegean. It was delightful. Hardly any tourists about, no Americans. There was a few Russian tourists and then local Athenians and other people from the Greek mainland. So quite well worth it. Also, passing through the town of Sunio, we saw some fascinating scenes from daily life. They have a very vibrant fish market there, etc. The water was very cool and refreshing, and as I said, almost crystal clear. It was the most clear water I've ever been in, and I've been around the world, Caribbean, etc., but nothing holds a candle to that which I experienced there in the Aegean. Well, I hope that you will avail yourself of going to Athens and taking the day trip over to Sunio. And thank you very much for tuning in. I've got lots of pictures on Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully you will check those out as well. Thanks a lot. Have a great day and happy travels.